Okay, hello everyone. Just wanted to do a quick video explainer on the new component of the cluster model, which is obviously the school level support consultancy. Um, the old bespoke intervention tab has been replaced for cohort 2 and for those in cohort 1 who didn't do any bespoke intervention and have reverted to school level support consultancy. So the tab is down the bottom. It is very simple, and therefore this video won't take long. I have done it for two schools within the cluster, and I'll try and explain a little bit what each of the elements mean. So to explain a little bit more about the school level support consultancy, the idea of that is they work very much within the individual schools within the cluster. So separate from the advisor who works with them as a group, make sure that everyone is coordinated together and make sure everyone's doing their things. The school level support consultancy is much more right. Okay, you work with that school and find out a little bit more about their deeper needs, what support they can that they can have around CPD. Is there specialist CPD that we could run as a pilot for that school and other schools within the cluster? Um, if not, what is it that's really niche, really bespoke that we have to work with them on? And it falls down to that layer of or that kind of, let's look at CPD first. If that's not possible, let's look at if we need to generate some CPD. If that's not possible, because it's very niche, then we work with them on a kind of a much more one-on-one basis. So that's the way it's been set out. The dimensions down the side, we wouldn't imagine you would work with them through every single dimension. It's the dimensions they are finding most of the challenges. Obviously, we would see the dimension that they're focused on within the cluster within there, but also dimensions outside of the cluster that also are low in their scoring from the computing quality framework. So with this example, the 4 areas in which we're focusing on are leadership and vision, teaching and learning assessment, curriculum qualifications, and EDI and SEND. Now, it's teaching, learning, assessment, EDI, and SEND that are the cluster that this cluster is working with. But if you go back, then that is not top priority for this bit. Leadership and vision is. EDI and SEND, teaching and assessment, EDI and SEND, teaching and assessment are in both, but there are additionals. Okay. So the first thing is with leadership and vision, based on what they've said in the CQF, which you hopefully have looked at and before your first meeting with them, you then get, as a school level support consultant, around half a day's time to work with the school on that basic, what is your challenges, what can we support you with? And from that, you make a list of the CPD that they need to go off and or that will support them improving in that area. And you can use CQF next steps really to identify them. Very easily, but also use your own knowledge as well. So the first thing is, based on leadership and vision, the thing that we think would support you at this current point is preparing for Ofsted and secondary. In terms of teaching and assessment, there's a face-to-face call for assessment and progression in Key Stage 3 computing. We think that is going to support you, and vice versa. We go through all of that. Sometimes it will be the case that there'll be some CPD, there might be some local CPD, and we also work with them on that dimension. Sometimes CPD might be enough, which is this example here. Sometimes it might be a combination. So CPD, nothing, and then also a little bit of support. We would never see something where it was blank here, because the first thing is we're pointing them back into the CPD that will support them moving forward. Okay, now the detail doesn't need to be in here really. It's just what is the course that's going to help them. The detail needs to go into the advisor action plan. So work with the advisor and making sure the advisor action plan has done a little bit more detail in terms of who's doing what, and the courses. Okay, so if needs be, they can come down the bottom here as an advisor and add some additional ones in, because this is the overview of everything that's going on within a cluster. Okay. So yeah, the only other thing really to mention is, before I go through a quick example, is the fact that these are RAG rated. So it's simply a case of when something has not been done yet, then it's red. So if they haven't attended or even signed up to the CPD, then it's red. If they sign up to the CPD and they haven't completed it, then that can go to amber. And then when they complete the CPD, that can go green. Any CPD that they complete can obviously feed into the rest of this work. So if if it's part of the work group evaluation and plan, elements, as part of the discussion in there. It can be added into there as well. If they're going to feedback on what they've found, that would be great. And obviously, if it's green, it means it is complete. Very simple. Okay, so we've got two examples. I just run through the first. Don't need to run through them in detail. I'm sure you can read the exemplar yourself. But with this first one, we've got the course is going to be preparing for Ofsted and secondary. The localized CPD, which you could work with a specialist hub on. Now, this is in its obviously early phases. So if there is something that you want to have as localized kind of bespoke piloted CPD that a specialist hub can kind of develop and we can run as a pilot, which could work larger scale further on, then there's something that should probably run through our team in the first instance, so we can make sure that the specialist hubs are not being left, right, and centre, being given kind of direction on what sort of courses. So if you could run that by myself in the first instance as we get this underway. Further down the line, then hopefully we can take me out as a middleman and we can get you into the specialist hubs. But it just in the first instance, just so everyone is on the same hymn sheet, run that through me in the first instance. So this is to work with a leadership specialist hub on a course for senior leaders to deliver it to as many senior participants from the participant schools as possible. So even though it's for this school, it might benefit the rest. Okay, so it's a course particularly for senior leaders around how to how to increase the participation of computing, essentially. And addition to that, we are going to work with the senior leaders that are related to this school to really promote the need to increase computing in the curriculum. So we get ourselves some time with senior leaders. That might be the person who's responsible for CPD. It might be the person who has computing under their kind of remit. It might be an assistant. It might even be the head. But it's about getting in front of them and trying to kind of talk them and increase the need for this and get them to understand why we're doing it, so that they can push that out and support that to the rest of the school. So other ones, this one's obviously just a course. There's no other need for anything else. And then we come down into this one, which is curriculum qualification, which is again a course. And then over here, there's a little bit of support in reviewing the current Key Stage 3 curriculum within this school to be more inclusive to lower attainers and to girls. So there's a course in there and a certification within there that's going to support. But actually, what's probably needed here is to really do a deep dive into the curriculum. And because this cluster is all about ADI and SEND, we're looking at more inclusive for lower attainers and girls. So that's just one example. There's another one down the bottom, which I'll let you read yourself, but that is how we want the school level support consultancy to look. So you as a consultant, school level support consultant who has been contracted and is working with the advisor, take ownership of the schools at school level, and you point them towards the courses in the first instance and be a little bit like what the old CS champion was, and kind of keep at them and keep making sure they can get on the course after school if it's a short course, or can we get out, work with senior leaders to allow them to get out, that kind of hand holding, if you like, that in the first instance. And then what else can we do for them? Is it kind of one-to-one work? Is it that localized CPD? And you do that for every school. So there is 8 days that you can that you're contracted to do this work. Now if you have 4 schools, then obviously that's 2 days per school. At least half of the day is that kind of initial review, and then the rest of the time could be for this. If one school needs more support than the rest, then obviously you can move that time around. But just be aware of what you can do on this last layer because of the time you have. It's very much, can the CPD get them through? If not, can there be some CPD, because it is a CPD, it is something that CPD would support, but it just doesn't exist. Can we do that? If that's not the case, then what is it that we need to do, and do we have the time to do it? Okay, and then once you've got them all in place, start to RAG rate them. Obviously, start any off in red, and then we work them up to green. That allows the advisor to see how you're getting on in your element very easily by going in and seeing the RAG rating. Okay, there obviously watch this before the meeting on the 10th, which is tomorrow. and then you can ask as many questions as you want during that meeting. Okay, thanks very much.